Good morning, class 12. Okay, today we talk about the era decades of 1970, and then we have the start of a de-escalation. De-escalation here means kind of a relaxation in the Cold War. Okay, a permanent, a coming downwards, or coming to an end. Okay, of the Cold War. So you can see that starts actually with your President Nixon. Okay, Richard Nixon, who was the U.S. president. Okay, the first U.S. president. To at least make peace with a communist country, with China. Okay, so you can see the initiative taken by your President Nixon. So you have the process of de-escalation. Then you have the detente between US and USSR. Detente meaning a permanent relaxation. Okay, a kind of a permanent peace. Okay, coming to a permanent peace between USA and USSR. Okay, that starts with it. With your strategic arms limitation talks, that is your SALT, that was called. Okay, 1973, and basically they spoke over here was of reducing nuclear missiles and reducing anti-ballistic missiles. And children, we already know the meaning of your ballistic missiles. Okay, as we talked about with the Cuban Missile Crisis. Okay, so you see the permanent kind of relaxation coming to a Cold War. But again, when USA, okay, was trying to make a kind of a friendly move towards USSR, okay, and what happens here, 1979, but again, USSR sending troops to Afghanistan to help newly formed communist government. So again, this, makes your US very angry, okay, because again, you have the domino theory that comes to their mind, domino policy, as we had seen, okay, in time of Korean War, okay, the Vietnam War. So if one had already turned into your Korean, already turned into a communist country, okay, after Korea, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia. So same here, if Afghanistan becomes a communist country, then you have following Iraq, Iran. So the whole of Southeast Asia would surely become communist. So that was the fear of US. Okay, so the domino policy comes to their mind. Okay, because USA therefore now started supporting Mujahideen. Mujahideen was your rebels, okay, in Afghanistan, okay, against USSR. Okay, so that was your end of your detente or cooperation. So the cooperation that could be seen with Richard Nixon coming into scene and trying to make peace with USSR. Okay, but that could not happen because USSR again backs up your Afghanistan, where you have the newly formed your communist government. Now 1980, okay, you have your Ronald Reagan, who was the president of US. Okay, therefore he now boycotts your the Olympics. Okay, that was to be held in Moscow, 1980 and 1984 Los Angeles. Okay, so that was a step again towards USSR to show that USA is again not in the position of again making your peace with USSR. So Ronald Reagan was such a president, okay, where he increased your military spending immensely. Okay, whereas you can see USSR could not keep up due to its falling economy, because it did not have the policy, okay, economic policy to cope up with the capitalistic economy of your US. Okay, so you have the strategic defense initiative plan that was taken by USA. Okay, all these plans like to equip satellites with nuclear missiles, as we had only seen the nuclear missiles, nuclear wars, to say the nuclear weapons that they used, okay, in Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Then again, you can see how USSR also had installed, okay, that was done, okay, in the here in the earth. But now what was happening here, USA had planned to equip even the outer space, okay, with your satellites being sent there, although that the thinking of USA did not happen, because that would of course cost a bomb, okay, to install that. Okay, but you can see the end of the Cold War here again. Okay, after the permanent relaxation, they had all that, again the problems between US and USSR. But with the change of your prime minister in USSR, okay, yes, the end of the Cold War could be seen. And who was the next prime minister? He was Mikhail Gorbachev. Okay, so Mikhail Gorbachev, he wanted to make peace with USA, and that could be seen with the policies he adopted. Okay, now the communist economy, and one thing was like the economy, he could not meet up with your USA's capitalistic economy, and whereas USSR had a very poor economy, okay, it always had recession, as we had seen, because they were all centralized. The economy was a centralized economy, and where you had all the important resources, okay, all the railways, okay, and all the mines, all important resources were under the control of the government. So obviously they could not cope up with the capitalist economy. Now the communist economy simply could not keep up with the high growth rate of capitalist one, as I said. Now why did Gorbachev bring in reforms? He just wanted reforms, okay, so that he could bring a kind of a boost, okay, in your he could bring a change, okay, in the economy of your communist economy, and he could make it more efficient. Okay, therefore you have the very two important policies, and that was known as your glasnost and your perestroika. Okay, glasnost, with the term glass itself only means openness. Okay, you can see through, okay, the economy, so over here, like earlier, okay, when they had to see any data that was needed, even the people, okay, the civil people, okay, they wanted to see the data, okay, of the country, that was not possible for them. Okay, but now they could easily see that. So that means your see through. Okay, so they could see all those the previous data that was needed to of the country, and any normal person, okay, a civil person, man, wanted to check through it. Of course, now they could see that. Now they have the freedom of speech, as we had seen in Stalin's time, okay, where and they did not have the freedom. The people of USSR did not have the freedom. So that means the civil liberties, okay, the freedom of speech, expression, all of that was curbed. But now you can see how, okay, with the with the policy that was adopted by Mikhail Gorbachev, okay, we could see they got the freedom of speech, okay, that is civil liberty, easing of media censorship. Every time, okay, earlier, all the the magazines, okay, newspapers, everything were under the control of the government. Okay, anything, they were not allowed the media were not allowed to say anything against the government. Okay, because everything before it was released, okay, was checked by the government. So now they had the easing of media censorship. Okay, now a little freedom was given to media. Earlier records were declassified. Okay, so they could see, okay, all the records that was there earlier during the time of Stalin. Now you have the perestroika. Okay, perestroika here basically is the restructuring and reformation. Glasnost means openness. Perestroika means restructuring and reformation of the economy, and not only the economy, but your political and political structure as well. Political in the form of elections. Now, it does not mean here election means that they have a democratic form of government and electing, and they have multi-party system. No, you don't forget that. Okay, children, you don't get confused. Elections means here they still as a communist country. They function as a communist country. Okay, because we know the Soviet meaning union, right? Union. So they had all local bodies in different parts. Okay, and they had that was called the council, no, the union. Okay, of all these people. Now they supposing you had 100 people in one union. Okay, now earlier the government would nominate them. Okay, and then the people had to vote for them, right? I mean, the people had to the government elected it. Okay, nominated it. Okay, no elections. But now you have elections, but they were all the communist people. Okay, they were the communist party only. Okay, people. Okay, there's only one party, but of course they had the choice of person whom they could elect. Okay, now foreign investment was also allowed. That means giving a little freedom to your privately owned business also. Okay, a little kind of capitalistic form of economy also coming into scene here now because of Mikhail Gorbachev, and that is your glasnost and perestroika. Okay, now because of this, now little USA was also a kind of little released. Okay, I mean, it's relieved. Okay, okay. Now USSR is also, yeah, this is the right way how you have to function. Okay, so yeah, you're turning and you're trying to make good relations. So the Iron Curtain that was there, okay, that was made between US and USSR. Okay, because of your East and West Europe division. Okay, so now that also started raising because all over Europe now. Once in Russia, USSR itself, you have your relaxation given to people there. Now what happens to all the satellite states that we see, all Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Bulgaria, all these satellite states also now they also start asking for reform, and that led to the demand of independence and change in the communist government. So slowly there was a fall of the communist government in all these Eastern and Central European countries as well. Okay, now 1989 you have the peaceful revolutions in most countries except Romania, and no military suppression by Soviet Union. So Soviet Union also allowed, okay, to have a change in the government from communist government to democratic government, okay, and have them as independent states or independent countries. Okay, so with that have the 1989 Berlin Wall fall. That means the division between East and West Germany, the Berlin Wall, okay, and between East and West Berlin, that was also broken down. And 1990, you have East and West Germany that was united again. Remember, children, the Potsdam conference where they had met, and actually they wanted to also decide on the fate of Germany, whether the Germany would be reunited again or not. And finally, we see in 1990, East and West Germany united again as one country. So this is a map here of Central and Eastern Europe. Okay, that's what when we talked about all your glasnost and perestroika and happening in Russia. Okay, and then they're getting liberation. Same way, you have all the countries here, and see these Eastern countries also wanting, to free themselves from did not want to remain as a satellite state under the communist Russia. Okay, so then you have all these states, and these states finally break up into 15 independent states. Okay, all this Poland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, okay, Czechoslovakia, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, okay, Ukraine itself from Russia, okay, takes off from Russia, and they all form into 15 independent states finally in 1991. Okay, so that's how the breakup of USSR is also the people of Russia blame Mikhail Gorbachev because of its policy. Okay, you have the breakup of the communist country. That is what also being said. Okay, now 1985 to 1991, in response to Gorbachev's reforms, USA now started talks for de-escalation. Okay, because they saw that USSR also wants to come to peace, so they limited their nuclear weapons and removal of army from Afghanistan. Okay, and finally we see in December 1991, USSR is dissolved. No more of Union of Soviet Republic. Okay, but now we have the 15 sub-national Soviets form their sovereign countries. They are all the independent states. Okay, now what is the aftermath of that? We see, of course, USSR. First of all, there's no more USSR. Okay, Russia. Okay, and unipolar world. Now earlier we had bipolar world. Okay, after your World War II, that means two superpowers, US and USSR. But after the Cold War, you see it's a unipolar world. USA the only superpower. The Russian economy, of course, suffered badly, severe recession. Then you have start of the conflicts in Balkan states, Yugoslavia, and the threat of nuclear war, although still present, okay, but then it is much less than the Cold War period. Okay, because of your when the brinkmanship happened, okay, due to the Cuban Missile Crisis, but both the countries realized that that's going to finish the world several times, and therefore they stopped, okay, the nuclear war there. So although the nuclear war did not happen, but the threat of nuclear war was still present even after the Cold War period. Okay, children, so I stop here, so please go through it, and please make note of it, and then send me as an assignment. Okay, and then tomorrow again I'm going to come with your reasons for the breakup of USSR and the rule of Mikhail Gorbachev. Thank you, children.